How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia. And today we want to discuss one player that general manager Brian Cashman could leverage, a prospect, talented prospect at that, could leverage at the trade deadline to maybe acquire somebody a little bit more established. Now, in my opinion, I think Ryan will agree with this. Estevan Florial has kind of been put in a tough spot, right? They keep pulling up Miguel Andujar. They're still rolling out Joey Gallo into right field despite his inability to hit. And Estevan Florial has the talent to be a legitimate outfielder in the MLB, but he hasn't gotten the necessary reps. Like, one game isn't enough reps for him to really get enough experience and enough opportunity to see a Major League Baseball and how it moves, the velocity. It's just, a couple of games isn't going to cut it for him to really reach his potential. And I think that if they're not going to utilize him, they're better off leveraging him in a trade, especially because he's kicking serious ass in AAA right now with Scranton. So after a couple seasons dealing with injury, had a couple wrist injuries, and, just kind of derailing his development. Now they kind of be selling high on him, and he's really doing a good job. So there definitely would be a team out there that looks at him and says, this guy can be a legitimate outfielder for us. We can start him right now. A young team, maybe up and coming, that maybe have a couple of veterans that could help the Yankees right now, maybe whether it's a bullpen arm or a starter or whatever. So want to discuss Estevan Florial. Before we do, my friend Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yankees start off a series against the Pirates. That's definitely a team you look at as one of those teams where, they could definitely look into a guy like Florial who can provide, 6 years of control in terms of, his contract, because he has not had his rookie year it's fully intact. So he still has those 6 years of control. This guy is 24, right? And the thing is with him, he's just really talented. We know that this is a kid who is remarkably talented. Injuries really derailed his prospect status and really delayed his ability to rise up the minor leagues. But, the power tools, the speed tools, the defense, right? Like, that's always been very heralded with him. Even after his, meteoric rise as a prospect and kind of downfalling a little bit, the raw power is still a 60 grade tool. The speed tool is still phenomenal. You can look at his sprint speeds. You can look at just what different scouts see from him. Many Yankee scouts have raved this guy is like the best defensive outfielder in the Yankee system. He plays a very valuable position in center field. That gives you a very high floor because being a good defensive center fielder already gives you value. You really just have to be close to average to be a really good major league player, because if you're a good defender, you provide good base running value, and you are a league average hitter, you are probably a 3 to 4 win player, and that's extremely valuable. The question is, what is Florial at the major league level? We don't really know what his plate discipline would look like. We don't know how well his power translates, though lately he's been crushing the ball. I mean, home runs left and right. It's like every single day they play in AAA, Estevan Florial is hitting a home run. He's got 26 stolen bases in under 70 games played, which is, I know that it might be a little easier to steal bases down there, but that's still remarkable. And that's still one of the top marks in the league. And if you look at just WRC plus, he's top 10 in AAA, and that's amongst guys who are 27, 26, 25. These are quadruple A players, guys who have played in the major leagues, who are, stuck in AAA, and they're older than their competition. Florial is, in a way, cemented himself this year as one of the best players in AAA. And as you mentioned, right, selling high on his value. We saw this last year with Hoy Park. I remember being someone who wanted to see Hoy Park play. He was a shortstop. The Yankees didn't have good defense at shortstop, and the Yankees sold high on him, and it is probably one of the best trades Brian Cashman has made in the last decade, and probably one of the best trades made in the last decade. You look at Florial as a player, you look at Miami, you look at Cincinnati, you look at Pittsburgh, you look at all these teams that have some valuable players, but don't have a center fielder, right? They don't, like, Brian Reynolds is not a good defensive center fielder. He's more of a left fielder. Cincinnati just does not have a defensive center fielder. They're rotating guys in and out of there. Miami's defensive center field situation is weird because their center fielder is Jesus Sanchez, but he's, again, more of a left fielder or right fielder. These are teams that have valuable players but don't have a center fielder. And Florial is a major league ready center fielder, or the Yankees can market him as such, because this is a guy with a 139 WRC plus in AAA, 10 home runs, 26 stolen bases, a near 400 on base, slugging over 500, right? Hitting 308. I know the strikeouts, he has a 29.5% strikeout rate, and that's pretty high. But again, you're marketing this guy as he can be a, solid, okay, 9th, 8th, 9 hitter, but steal a bunch of bags and play great defense. And that's valuable because it's an everyday major league player. So I don't know who you had maybe in mind as a trade target in terms of teams where you think is a good fit, but I definitely think, Cincinnati, Miami, Pittsburgh, off the top of my head, those are 3 teams that could definitely use a guy like Florial.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Yankees want to go after Luis Castillo, Florial as part of the package definitely makes sense. I will say this, right? Florial, like, if you're going to keep him on the Yankees, What are your thoughts about, Judge moving back to right field? Do you think that that's something they would even consider? Or do you think right now, like, Judge is that cemented center fielder, right field is the position we need to solve? And being that that's the case, Florial has no place here, right? If Judge is going to be your long-term center fielder, Florial has no place. And also, I'll throw into the mix that his strikeout rate is probably so high because the Yankees don't care about strikeouts, right? They're like, we want you to hit the ball as hard as possible. And the thing is, Florial's not really like a great power hitter, right? Like, he doesn't hit that many homers. He has 10 homers this year, so it's not bad. He has a career best in the minor leagues of 13. But he's not going to hit like 20 plus homers for you at the MLB level. If you ask him, okay, you know what, Florial, we want you to just make contact more instead of trying to hit it as hard as you possibly can. You might see that strikeout rate kind of go down a little bit. He's at a 10.7% walk rate, like you mentioned before. He might be able to get that up to like 13 to 15% and cut a little percentage points off of that strikeout rate. What are your thoughts ultimately on, maybe the Yankees utilizing him in center and moving Judge back to right field? Do you think there's any possibility that that's maybe the course of action they take?
I think the problem would be that the Yankees, like, Judge likes playing center field, right? This isn't Judge playing center field to help the team. This is just playing center field because he likes it. And also it does help the team, don't get me wrong. But they would be playing Hicks in center field if Judge didn't like playing center field. Judge loves it. That's his natural position. He is, raved to the Yankees about how much he loves playing center field. That's what he was drafted to do originally. So, you're not going to move Judge, your franchise guy, off of a position he loves playing, and he's done so pretty well, right? He's earned the right to play center field. If Florial does come up, I don't see that it would be a problem to play him in left field, especially since the Yankees have really, wanted to, they've really seen Gallo struggle and Stan struggle to play that big left field. They've had to move Hicks there, and Hicks has done an admirable job in left field, but the bat's not really cutting it. And you mentioned the Florial, his power. We're not really sure if he's really if he can really be a true power hitter. But one thing I find interesting is he started to pull the ball a lot more this year compared to last year. So last year he hit 13 home runs at AAA. It took him 362 plate appearances to do so. In about 100 fewer plate appearances this year, he already has 10 home runs. If you look at his slugging percentage at 521 this year, the isolated power, which is just batting slugging percentage, and then you minus batting average from it, and that gives you your isolated power. Anything above 200 is really good, and his is 213. So that's probably, he's pulling the ball more. He's getting more of that pull side power. And we know, we see this with Rizzo, when you can pull the ball a lot, when you pull the ball in the air a lot, you can generate a lot of home runs, even if you don't necessarily have a great power tool. The Florial's power tool is actually pretty decent. Again, 60 grade raw power on a 2080 scale is pretty good power. I think the Yankees last year were trying to get him to hit for more power. He was trying to figure out, how can I get to that power tool? And if Florial's a guy who can, pull a bunch of fly balls, there was one of these home runs he hit in the 2-run home run game that it was just demolished. It cleared the stadium. It was a magnificent blast. And this is more so, I think, him being healthy and him finally playing a full season and getting comfortable at AAA, where he could finally kind of lean into that raw power he's always had, lean into that talent. And 26 stolen bases. This is a guy who stole 13 at AAA last year, got caught 7 times. He couldn't even get a 70% success rate. And with how analytics are, right, 80% is roughly where you want to be at if you want to be a good base stealer. Florial's been caught 5 times, but he has 26 stolen bases. That's ridiculous ratio. This is in less than 70 games again. He's on pace to steal like 50 bases and hit like 25 home runs. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be at the major league level, because if he is that, he'd probably, immediately win Rookie of the Year. But I'm not saying he's that at the major league level, but, in a trade, right, I'm not sure. He's not going to get you Luis Castillo on his own. But if you throw in, some prospects and he's the 4th guy that you throw in, 1, he doesn't really have room on this team. The Yankees don't want to play him in center field because they have Judge in center field. And 2, Florial's not, like, this isn't the team for Florial to get acclimated on. It has to be on a team where he can know he gets every day at bats, and there's no pressure for him to get replaced. Because if the Yankees do call him up and he has a bad week, the Yankees are trading for someone else. That's it. His time is over. He goes back to AAA and he rots there for another year. I think the Yankees recognize this. They recognize this with Hoyt Park, where they're like, we're going to call you up, and we're probably not going to be able to have you stick on the roster. So why even keep you around, right? He goes to Pittsburgh, and he's immediately a shell of himself because he really wasn't that great. I think Florial's a better prospect than Park. I don't think there's that random drop-off that he's just no longer nearly as good. But for Florial, he needs the regular playing time, right? And it's not going to happen in New York. It's unfortunate that his timeline, the injuries really derailed him because he didn't get going until this year. If he got going in 2020, those were minor league seasons. So, that also hurt him. But if he got going, maybe, if he had this type of season last year, I think he gets the call and plays a little more, because he did play quite a bit last year, but he didn't stick. But he struggled at AAA. So, This year it's just kind of an unfortunate situation where this is the best roster the Yankees have had in a very long time. And they're not going to pull punches and start a rookie that maybe start. And even if he's struggling, they're not going to start him and keep playing him just for the sake of playing him. They're going to go out and get someone. So the Yankees are going to go external with filling that hole. If it was like the shortstop, right? If Florial was the shortstop, this would be a different conversation. He'd be starting tomorrow, or tonight. But unfortunately, he plays a position where Aaron Judge is the guy in front of him on that depth chart, and you're not uplifting Aaron Judge from his spot.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have the teams like the Angels who are, starting guys like Tyler Wade or Andrew Velasquez, like it makes you think there has to be a team out there that sees Estevan Florial as a legitimate starter in center field, right? Like they have to look at him in AAA. His numbers are great, right? He's getting on base a ton despite his high strikeout rate. He's still getting on base at what, a 38% clip, which is pretty damn impressive. And like you said, his isolated power is great. His slugging is great. He's having just a tremendous bounce back year in AAA, coming off a couple injury-riddled seasons, and that's what you want to see. This is the chance for the Yankees to sell high on him. I would be very surprised if they didn't trade him because there's no way he's getting any reps on this team with Aaron Judge in front of him. Maybe they're like, it's possible that the Yankees are just holding on to him in the improbable scenario that Aaron Judge leaves in free agency and they have no choice but to utilize him as their starter. But I just don't even see that happening. I still think they put Aaron Hicks, like you said, back into center field and they just go out and, spend that money on another guy or trade for somebody to fill in at right field. So, right now, Estevan Florial's value to the Yankees is simply as a doubleheader call up, but it doesn't even seem like they want him. They want Miguel Andujar, who, kind of had one hit, but struggled otherwise, got picked off at first base. Didn't look that great. This is a situation where Cashman should leverage a player who's playing very well at the AAA stage. He has value right now. He's 24 years old. He's young. He has all of his service time left, and he's not going to hit arbitration for a couple of years because of that. So, right now's perfect. This is the time to utilize him. And I think a guy like Luis Castillo. Now, I'll ask you this. I know Luis Castillo, there's been talks about Castillo and Frankie Montas as potential options for the Yankees as the starting pitching trade market kind of builds here. But Montas just left 2 days ago with a shoulder inflammation issue. Do you think that impacts the Yankees' decision to go for either? Or do you think maybe that decreases his value even? Maybe Oakland doesn't want as much because of this injury. I doubt that's the case. But, how do you think that impacts maybe what Cashman's thinking if he wants to go after one of those two guys?
I think Cashman's always wanted Castillo more than Montas. I think he likes Montas, but I think if he wanted Montas as badly as he may want Castillo, Frankie Montas would have been a Yankee. Frankie Montas has been more available for way longer than Castillo has. I just think that Oakland's price point has to be ridiculous. It has to be something that the Yankees aren't willing to give, whereas the Reds are more enticed by the Yankees, maybe perhaps by the Yankees' depth guys. Again, they mentioned Will Warren. That's a guy like I love Will Warren. I think he could be a really good pitcher. I'm telling you, if Castillo is on the Yankees, Will Warren is not on the Yankees. Like that is a guarantee. And that's a guy, again, that's not a top two prospect in the Yankee farm. You look at Florial and you see him as that fourth piece in a trade. Not the one guy, not the two guy, but that fourth, maybe if it has to be a fifth because you get a second player from the Reds or the Athletics, he's that type of player. To kind of wrap things up here, on my thoughts on it. I know you're going to have some thoughts because, there's a lot going on with Florial and all that stuff. But not to steal Brian Windor's, his thunder here, but why would the Yankees not call up Florial if they wanted an outfielder, right? What's going on here? Well, it's kind of simple. I think the Yankees don't want to ruin Florial's value. I don't think they want to call him up and take away from his playing time in AAA. I really do think, like last year, they were willing to call him up in doubleheaders over Andujar and over other guys. They're not calling him up for some reason. They're not giving him any reps. The reason is, and last year they gave him a lot of reps. Why is he getting less reps when he's playing better? Doesn't really make sense.
I have a thought. I think that maybe, then might be where you're going with this. They don't want to ruin his value. They don't want other teams to see that maybe he's not good at the major league level. They just want to keep him dominating at AAA, so that way there's a lot to be desired, and there's no telling what he's going to do at the major league level.
Right. I mean, I don't think he's going to be terrible. I just don't think the Yankees want to take the risk of, hey, let's take you out of AAA. Let's pause your development for a second, throw you in a meaningless game, and then send you back down. No. Let's keep him. He's in a groove. Let's keep him developing. Let's keep him building those power tools and those requisite tools. And You mentioned, what if, if Judge leaves, it would be highly unlikely the Yankees keep him around as the option. I agree. If Aaron Judge leaves, the Yankees are going to throw money at someone else, right? They have money to throw, and they're going to throw it at someone. They're not going to throw Estevan Florial in center field. They'll get Brandon Nimmo or someone else who could play center field. They're not going to walk away with Estevan Florial starting there. There's no way, unless Florial had played at the major league level for the Yankees and had like some crazy run and his production is sustainable, right? It's not happening. So, if Yankee fans kind of freaking out, like, oh, we're playing Gallo, we're not playing Florial. Don't get me wrong. I think Florial would probably provide more value playing center field, but that would mean he has to play center field. And Judge is not moving off center field. And the Yankees are probably moving Florial. Like, these are when you have a player down there where it's like they're playing so well, why aren't they up? They fill a position of need for us, at least temporarily. It's because the Yankees know it's kind of a telltale sign that guy's getting traded soon. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you're Estevan Florial, you're kind of just waiting for it at this point. Like it's coming. Cashman's working the phones for sure. But guys, would love to hear your perspectives below on Estevan Florial. If you think he'll be traded, if you think that maybe he should be pulled up, maybe put in right field for goodness sake. Who knows? He is a lefty bat. He could replace Gallo in that sense. But there's a lot of questions regarding this player. He is having a very good season in AAA. Their value is there. He is probably has the highest value he's ever had, maybe compared to a couple of years ago when he was like the #1 prospect in baseball, or he was up there in the prospect ranking. So very curious to hear your thoughts below in the comments section. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're very close to 1,000 subs on YouTube, so any love you can show is much appreciated as always. Hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.